My name is Silvina Squerer, and together with Soledad Matiosic. Soledad, do you want to say hi?
Hi, welcome. Thank you, Jen, so much for your kind introduction, and welcome everyone. I'm very excited. We're very excited to be here today, especially with this sunny day. I was telling Jen that it's a double merit from all of us that we are here in a Zoom meeting. So we hope that this is really valuable for you and that you end up the meeting with something new that you can bring to your business.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so thank you for joining us this afternoon. Really, we appreciate you taking the time. We know we all have days and weeks crowded with Zooms and virtual sessions, so sometimes we're like, what do we need an extra more? Well, we hope you feel that today it's useful and that you leave this session energized. And again, thank you, Jen, for the lovely introduction. Thank you, Impact as this social change, for providing this platform for us to learn from each other so we can collaborate, we can share ideas, and have the opportunity to meet other professionals in the area that are working also to collaborate and build a better world for everyone. Now, before starting, I want to give you a little bit of an overview of what we're going to be doing today. We're going to start by briefly talking about what is sustainability, what it means to do business in a more sustainable way. We're going to continue talking about what are the main challenges that we found when trying to implement a sustainability strategy. And then we're going to tell you what we do at Thinking Beyond Business to overcome these challenges. We're going to also briefly highlight what are the best practices of sustainability. And we're going to show you our methodology and our roadmap step by step. And we're going to have through the middle of the session an opportunity for us to interact with each other. So we're going to have breakout rooms of like between 8 and 10 minutes. So we get the opportunity to meet other professionals and share our stories, our successful stories, hopefully. And at the end, we're going to have a Q&A section. So please don't be shy and share your questions, whatever you comes up to your mind. And if you have any questions, just jump in, write it in the chat, and we will try to address them at the end of the workshop. Now, before starting, I want to tell you a little bit about who we are, what we do, and why we do what we do. We are a women-owned sustainability consulting firm, and what we do is we help entrepreneurs, small and medium-sized businesses like many of you here today, really understand, commit, and implement best practices of sustainability in a simple and organized way. And how we started with this, Soledad and I had a very similar path. We both come from what we call the traditional corporate world. My background is in finance and in business, and Soledad is a corporate lawyer, a recovered corporate lawyer, like she said. And we got at the point in our career where we felt that we needed to do something different, that we needed to really find more meaning in our job. So we got together and we thought, okay, so we are helping businesses thrive, grow, and become more profitable. Now, how we can do is that they continue doing amazing in their job, but they do it in a better way, right? In a more conscious and responsible way. And that's how the idea of Thinking Beyond Business came to life, really. And when we started with helping these businesses, we realized that medium to small size operations face different challenges from bigger organizations, right? And they were around being that many business leaders were overwhelmed or confused on where to start to put together a sustainability strategy or how to prioritize what to do first. So that's how we came up with our methodology, really, and like thinking on how to really do it in a way that doesn't discourage anyone, but really invites all businesses to commit to do business in a better way. Because our ideal is really for all businesses to be part of the solution. We want businesses to take the leap and to dare to do business in a more conscious way. So we understand there's no really one simple way to do it. Not one answer serves all of you, but each business has to try to walk its own road. So hopefully today we're going to be able to give you a few tools so you can make your path into sustainability a little easier. So now Soledad is going to start with like the meat of the workshop. Soledad, I'm going to turn it to you.
Okay, so hello, welcome again. As Silvina mentioned, we want to start a little bit about briefly reflecting on the meaning of sustainability and what sustainability means for us as organizations and why is it relevant for us as well. And during the last decade, we have seen different terms related to sustainability. We have seen corporate social responsibility, environmental social impact, now environmental social governance. And one term that we like is sustainability. That is really, and that's why we call it sustainability business strategy. And we like the definition of the United Nations of sustainability because it's really related to what we think as businesses we should be doing. And the UN defines sustainability as the ability to meet the present needs without compromising future generations' ability to meet their needs. And it also talks about finding a balance and finding a harmony between economic growth, between social equality, and also protection for the environment. And it's as simple as that. It's as ask for organizations to find a way of do business in a more conscious, in a more responsible way, incorporating this triple bottom line approach and going beyond just generating profitability, but trying to understand how our business impacts the people around us and the environment as well. But we found that many corporations, large corporations, are already incorporating this. They're jumping into the sustainability agenda. But smaller operations, small and medium-sized companies find, as Silvina mentioned, different challenges to approach this. And we get it because right now we are still going through a pandemic. A lot of businesses have suffered and they continue to suffer due to the economic downturn. And we feel that it's kind of a misconception that working on a sustainability strategy right now or incorporating this new way of doing business is something that we cannot do right now because we're focusing on survival. And we want to spend a little bit of time on the business case of sustainability because we really think the opposite to be true. We really think there's a strong correlation between developing a sustainability strategy for your company and resilience, especially in times of crisis like the pandemic we're going through, with economic growth and with profitability. And this has been evidenced by many studies that reputable organizations have been conducting during the last years, and especially now during COVID, there's a lot of statistics that shows that companies that already had a sustainability strategy in place navigated the crisis much, much better. And this is because there is a strong correlation with customer loyalty because our consumers are really demanding this accountability from us and they feel connected with our causes and with our purposes. There's a competitive advantage in doing this that differentiates us from the competition that doesn't have it. And most importantly, it's a very powerful tool for retaining employees, for keeping them engaged. And that is related to productivity and with innovation, that are elements that are crucial for navigating any crisis. So even though we might understand as small businesses that there is a new way of doing business, that we have to incorporate this into our agenda, and there is a business case for doing this, we still face a lot of challenges as small and medium operations when we really want to incorporate this. So where do we start? And we want to assess a little bit the audience here today. We have a very interesting group of people and companies, and we are very curious to know what are the main challenges that you face when you want, if you're a company or organization, if you're already started or you're thinking on starting with a sustainability strategy, what are the challenges that you face as an organization? Is it maybe it's too overwhelming, there's a lack of education, maybe from management or the CEO, there's no commitment, you don't know where to start, what is material to you, you think it's too expensive, too overwhelming, you know that you have to do that, but you don't find the tools for the right implementation. We'll see, here are coming the results of the tool. And I don't know, of the poll, I don't know if you can see that. We'll wait a little bit. Mm-hmm. We have 55% that are, thank you for your input.
Yes, let's see if we can increase that participation a little bit more. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Great. So we see here that the majority of the, numbers are changing. The majority of the audience saying commitment by management. Yes, it's really a big challenge, and lack of education, knowledge, identifying what is material. Okay, this is great. And it's, of course, in line with what we were expecting really to receive. Commitment by management is really high, 35%. Okay, so we need to do better there as business leaders. So let's try to spend a little bit of time going over these challenges, right? So we're not going to have time to talk a lot about all the challenges, but we identified the ones that we felt we saw more often with clients in the field, right? So we want to start with what it is, the lack of education, or really like a misconception around what is sustainability. Because really, a lot of people think that committing to the business in a more sustainable way is something that is complex, and there's so much information that is kind of confusing. But the idea here is that once we are educated, once our team and ourselves as business leaders, and especially management, really, when everyone around it is educated, then it's simple to acknowledge and understand that committing to sustainability is much simpler than what really the general people think, right? And the first thing is really understanding that it's not necessarily to tackle everything, but to really focus on what is material to your business. And for that, the emphasis, the way we do, the way that we suggest, trying how to overcome this misconception around sustainability or the lack of education, is really to put a lot of emphasis on education, right? Educating ourselves as business leaders, as consultants, and our team, especially our team, on what it really means to do business in a more sustainable way. Why we're doing it, why we want to go this path, and what are the advantages to really commit to those business in a more sustainable way. And why it's important to understand, because really there's a misconception, like sometimes we address a client and we're like, okay, we're trying to explain what it means to go in a sustainable way, and they think it's a synonymous of like going green. And we know like sustainable businesses encompass much more than just the environmental side of it, right? So the idea really is to put emphasis on education. Educate yourself and educate your team, and ideally everyone in your organization. Now, if you're hands-on, there's a lot of information out there. There's webinar, workshops, webinars like the ones that Be Social Change offers, books, articles. But if not, it's good that you hire professionals, right? Like consultants, to spend a day or two, like sessions with your team, to really educate them on the particularities of your industry, of your business, and why it's important really to commit to the business in a sustainable way. Because that education is going to then deploy into your team, and then that's going to how you're going to get everyone around you engaged. The second challenge that we see very often really is resistant to change, and is very related to the challenge that we spoke before, right? That is, it's really a consequence of the lack of education, the resistance to change, because it's natural for any human being to really to resist changes for the fear to the unknown. Why do we need to change if we're doing things great and the company is working fine and the numbers are great? So why do we need to do things different? So here, it's not just understanding that this is the new way of doing business, really, but it's understanding why we are committing as a business to do business in a more sustainable way. And to really fight this resistance, what we feel it's the secret is really to look for those internal ambassadors within your company that are really passionate about the causes that you decide to engage in your strategic plan, in your sustainability plan. And new generations, millennials and Gen Zs, are really championing these ideas, right? Are really engaged with sustainability. So let's try to find within our organizations those internal ambassadors that can help us spread the word and really expand on the influence and the good energy, and can help us as business leaders, as managers, really try to make sure that everyone is engaged and that we can increase participation on the projects that we decide. And also as management, we need to spread our enthusiasm. We need to lead by the example. We need to communicate the new initiatives that we engage on meetings, on emails, like on our social networks and on any event. So it's really internalizing the idea that committing to sustainable practices is the best for your company. And like leading by example and engaging everyone in your team is the way to really move forward with the plan. Sole, do you want to continue?
It's helpful if I unmute myself. So thank you, Sil. And yes, another one of the challenges that we see, I think it's 20% of the people find it one of the main challenges. It's prioritization, or where to start, because you might think, okay, we want to start with the sustainability agenda. We know it's important for us. We are assessing our business against best practices, and then we come up with a list of initiatives that we want to implement, and maybe there are too many or maybe too overwhelming. So the key is to have a methodology to prioritize where to start. And the way that we do it with our clients through our methodology is really first focusing on what is material to you, to your organization. So we give some tools to really reflect on what are all these aspects of environmental and social impact are related to your industry, to your community, to your customers, to your organization in particular. And after that, after you have conducted that materiality assessment, then we suggest to do an effort payback analysis to understand really what resources do you have in terms of financial resources and in terms of capital, human capital, and see in which initiatives you can allocate the less amount of resources that will generate the largest payback, the most meaningful impact, and start with those initiatives that will do that are the quick wins of your initiatives. So prioritization is key, and do it having a methodology in order to prioritize your initiatives. It's very relevant and very important. Another important obstacle, we will say, instead of challenge, it's something that maybe we haven't incorporated in the poll, but it's one of the main reasons for a sustainability strategy to fail or not to succeed. And this is the lack of authenticity. If we're embarking in this, we have to do it in an authentic, in a transparent way. There are many companies that have been praised for jumping into the sustainability agenda, have been doing great, are doing business in a responsible and a conscious way, and have become really successful. But there are other companies that have been criticized or scrutinized for greenwashing because they don't align their social campaigns, their taglines, with what they're really doing, with the policies and the goals and the objectives that they put together in the culture of their company. So we have to be very mindful about this greenwashing. We really have to walk our talk. If we're really moving into this, a sustainability strategy, we have to be able to do it in an authentic and a committed way. And we also see the other side of the coin. We see companies that are doing great, they're doing fantastic, they're having, putting together giving back strategies, they're being really great in terms of their environmental impact, but they're very shy in terms of communicating their initiatives because they have a fear of being criticized and scrutinized as well. That's correct, right, Sil?
Yes, it's a term that we learned that is called green hashing. It's staying silent really for fear of being publicly criticized. And it happened to us recently with a client that they were doing amazing initiatives in terms of really becoming more sustainable, but they weren't ready to commit to do 100% sustainable. And we were really saying, well, there's no business that is really 100% sustainable, 100% green. So it's important that we share our news, that we learn that we share what we do. And really, it's important to focus on what we have to tell and really to commit to whatever we cannot change right now and try to work towards trying to improve continuously our operation. But staying shy and silent about what the progress that we're doing is really not a good strategy. The better strategy is to really try to communicate everything that we're doing if it's authentic, because even smaller actions count and can spread even more enthusiasm.
Yes, and lastly, we want to focus on another challenge or obstacle that we see for a sustainability strategy to become effective, and this is the lack of purpose. If you have a purpose, if you have a defined and articulated purpose, it makes your sustainability strategy and any strategy much more easier and more, it gives you direction and gives you more clarity. And there are many definitions about what organizational purpose really is, and we can spend hours talking about this. It's something that we are very passionate about, but we really suggest our clients, if they're starting from scratch, to really start by trying to redefine or trying to find and articulate their purpose. And purpose, there's many definitions. One of the definitions that we like is the aspirational reason for being beyond generating profits. So thinking about your company beyond just generating profits is why you were founded in the first place, beyond profitability. And the answer to that why would help you define your purpose. So if you really take time to reflect on what are your strengths as a business, what are you built to do, what are your talents, what are the strengths of your products, of your services, and then you tune in to what are you most passionate about, the causes that matters most to you, to your people, to your team. There's always something that gathers everybody together into one direction. And if you can really align those strengths and that passion to see where can you generate the most meaningful impact, clarity on these three circles really help you define your purpose. And once you have a purpose, then it's a very strong tool for any decision making. With Silvina, we spent many hours talking about what was our purpose of our business, what is going to be beyond just generating profits and a financial gain that all of us as businesses of course want to achieve. And we did a lot of individual exercises, and we got together to brainstorm, and we came up with our purpose of thinking beyond business, that is healing the world by empowering responsible businesses to thrive. And this is really what we want. We want our companies in our community, small and medium-sized companies, to thrive, to be profitable, to grow, become resilient by doing business in a more responsible and in a conscious way. And by doing that, we are really connecting this with our passion. That is, we want this world to become a better place for us and for future generation. And every decision that we make at Thinking Beyond Business, we weigh it against this purpose. For example, today, participating in this workshop, it's easy. It's really aligned to who we are. Be Social Change, and amazing work that they're doing. Of course, we want to be here and we want to help educate companies on how to do business in a more responsible way. So,
yeah, I want to share.
Sorry?
Yeah, we want to share our experience, how we're doing it, and try to spread the word.
But we want to enter into the second part of our workshop, that is really going through the methodology that we use with our clients to overcome these challenges and to help them develop a sustainability strategy that works for the unique way of doing business and for their unique organization. And as we mentioned, we are a sustainability consulting firm, so we meet our clients wherever they are. We jump in where they need us. So with some clients, we worked on really starting from zero, on working on helping them define and articulate their organizational purpose. And we work a lot with that. With some clients, we work hand by hand as consultants, building a more robust sustainability strategy for the long term. With others, we work with particular issues. For example, some clients, they want to be B certified. They're already doing great. They have a sustainability strategy in place, and we help them with the B certification. Some clients, they're with the give back strategy, employee engagement, and other aspects. But we found that there are some clients that they're very hands-on. They have limited time, limited resources, and for those type of clients, we wanted to develop something that is easy to implement and actionable, that they can use right away. And we developed what we call a sustainability simplified strategy. That is a toolkit, is a dashboard that is an automated tool to help businesses overcome these challenges in a way that is organized, that set prioritizations, that assess your business against best practices, and that will give you also an action plan that you connect to your business strategy in the long term. So this dashboard, or this toolkit that we use with some of our clients, is divided into 4 steps. The first step is we ask our clients to map their stakeholders. What are the most important stakeholders of the organizations? And we plug it into our dashboard. The second part is assessing your unique organization against best practices with a set of questions that we tailor to each particular business. Then it prompts you to prioritize these initiatives with a methodology, and then it prompts you to develop an action plan and plug in all your initiatives so you can implement right away. We're gonna go through each one of the steps right now. We're gonna use kind of an example of what would be a client that we're helping. And so you can see each one of the tools. But first, we wanted to we mentioned that the second step is assessing your business against best practices. So we want to spend a little bit of time to explain what we mean by best practices and how it will be connected to this toolkit.
Yes. So before moving into showing you how this dashboard works and these 4 steps and what is the goal, what is the process and the outcome of each of all these 4 steps, we're going to make a pause and we're going to talk about best practices of sustainability, because really what this dashboard does is help you compare your business against the best practices of sustainability. So what do we mean by best practices of sustainability? It's really a series of policies and actions performed by the companies that are doing the best in terms of harmonizing economic growth with being responsible with our planet and its people. So it's really basically benchmarking our performance, our businesses against the leaders in our industry and worldwide lately. And the thing is that we need to know about best practices of sustainability is that really they vary depending on the industry that we work on, the location of our business, the local regulation, and of course the size of our business. However, there are certain elements that are common to all of them, right? Like across industries, no matter the size, the regulations, or even the location in which we operate. And one of the most important things that really provide really comparing against best practices of sustainability is that really we are assessing our impact in terms of environmental, social, and governance. And most companies really classify their initiatives into one of these 3 groups. So we're going to briefly talk about the most important initiatives that we should engage in each of these areas. We're not going to be super specific because that's going to take us hours. But if you really want to learn more about that, we can continue our conversation later on a private emails or calls. So when we're talking about environmental, right, the word says it's really trying to act responsible with our planet's resources, right? And here the core element really is putting emphasis on how we assess, we measure, and we improve our waste, energy, and water management. And we hear terms and initiatives such as really recycling, even go for composting, trying to reduce the use of plastics, especially single-use plastic. There's a big push about trying to reduce to the minimum the single-use plastics. Is something that we really encourage our clients to do because it's something that is really easy to implement. We hear terms such as circularity, right? Trying to reduce materials or trying to give a second life to products, like, for instance, like what Patagonia is doing, that they are selling used clothes, and many businesses are doing that, promoting thrifting. We were talking about that with Jen and Soledad while you were on the breakout rooms. And if we are a manufacturing company, it's also thinking on how we can design a product that we can think of the end of the life of that product. So all these are really the main components of a responsible best practice in terms of environmental. Now, when we move to the social part, it's really understanding what is the impact that our business has in the lives of the people that it impact the business, right? In the lives of our main stakeholders. And who are our main stakeholders? Always our employees. Our employees are our main asset, and we need to take care of them. So the most important thing when addressing best practices of sustainability regarding our employees is really trying to maintain a culture where diversity, equity, and inclusion are valued and respected, right? That we promote really like a work-life balance of our employees. And here we talk about having employee handbooks, code of ethics, about paying living wages, offering good health insurance, vacation, opportunities for growth, training, and engage them with our sustainability practices, with our strategy. Then when we move for another stakeholder, right, our customers what we need to try to aim is to try to provide accurate information about our products and about our services, to show really transparency and accountability, that are two of the most important pillars really of a sustainable business. And also trying to promote sustainable consumption, or designing products that are really provide access for the more vulnerable or disadvantaged in our communities. Another important stakeholder are our suppliers. And here what we need to put the emphasis really is on making sure that the suppliers that we use across all our supply chain costs is that they are really enforcing the same type of policies that we are enforcing, right? That they really put the emphasis with the same level of rigor than us, to make sure that the main components of the production of the products that services that we offer really come from responsible sources. And here what we say is that it's really key to have an open channel of communication with vendors to try to put together a relationship that is a win-win situation, that all go through the same. And then finally, governance. I know this is taking a lot of time. Governance is really making sure that we have the policies in place that if management changes, all these initiatives that we are engaging are going to continue, right? So some companies will go and become benefit corporations. Some companies will be B Corp certified, and some others are going to develop their policies, handbook policies, employee handbooks, code of ethics, etc. So at the end, the best practices of sustainability really are, again, those policies and actions that the leaders in our industry are really doing to promote sustainable businesses. So now I'm going to close the parentheses, and we're going to start talking about the dashboard, because we're running out of time. So the first step is very simple. It's really just mapping our impact and really identifying who are our main stakeholders. And as I said before, it's really our employees, our customers, our suppliers, our community, and the environment, right? So this step is very simple. The process is just listing the group of stakeholders by group of stakeholders. The step number 2 is when we really assess the performance of our business against the best practices that I just mentioned. And our dashboard, this is like what the dashboard looks like. It's very similar to the B-Lab assessment. I'm sure many of you are familiar with the B-Lab assessment from that companies use to certify as B Corp, right? But that assessment is really 200 questions. It's an amazing certification, but sometimes it could feel a little bit overwhelming for medium-sized companies. So what we did with Soledad at Thinking Beyond Business is really try to curate all those questions and other questions that were related to the best practices, and come up with a shorter list, right? So our dashboard has 65 questions that will vary depending on the size of our client and the industry in which they operate. But the assessment is going through all these 65 questions, against comparing your performance against the best practices of sustainability. And it will look something like this. We'll have the 65 questions. They are classified by stakeholder and also by another classification, ESG. And it's as simple as this, as answering really the question. So for instance, if we're working with an hypothetical client and we're talking on with their impact with workers, and the question is, does your company have a written policy offering equal pay for work of equal value for men and women? And here in this column is the answer, where it will go a Y for yes, a W for a work in progress, and a no if there's nothing done in terms of this initiative. So in this case, we put a W because although this hypothetical company wants to really promote and they are trying to pay equal men and women for the same job, they don't have a reading policy. And ideally, they need to have that reading policy to make sure that that this policy is really enforced and is something that future hirings are going to look for. Another question here is, does your company adopt a stance towards single-use plastics? And here we put N, no, because they don't have anything, they are not doing anything about single-use plastics. Now in this step, we're going to answer these 65 questions. For those questions that we answer yes, that means that we are already implementing this, then the dashboard stops here. There's nothing to move forward to. But then the one that we answer with WRN, then that tells us that we need to work on those, right? That there's a risk or that there's an opportunity that we need to work on. So that prompts steps number 3. And the step number 3 is to really, where we're going to work on how to prioritize all these questions that we're going to be answering. Some companies are going to have to work on only 10 questions that are answered at W or N, and some other companies are going to have to work on 40 questions. So how to choose where to start?
Yes. And one important thing about what Silvina mentioned on the dashboard, if we go back a little bit for a second, is that this classification of stakeholders and environmental social governance is already pre-classified for you. And the only thing that you will have to input is your answer to the specific question, either yes, no, or work in progress. And you can input at some notes as well. And as Silvina mentioned, after we're going to go through the method, through a way of prioritizing our initiatives. And we're curious, again, we would like to know from you if you can let us know and share in a poll, how do you prioritize your initiatives? Do you have a methodology that you use in your organization? You have a matrix, a materiality assessment? Do you focus on things that are urgent first and leave the others for the rest? I can see here that most of the people are focusing on what is urgent first. That is natural. That we do that. And some, they don't have any methodology at all. And there is something that we really suggest for our clients to do, is to do this prioritization. And this tool that we have, this dashboard, will help you with this. So here we're getting back, I think you have 60% of the people who, and most of the people, they're focusing on urgent tasks first, or things that are burning. And it is one of the most common mistakes, because then we leave things that are important maybe for later on.
Mm-hmm. So what we do here, the way we really prioritize the initiative for our clients, and the good thing about the dashboard is that it will be done automatically. The only thing that you will have to do is really answer 2 questions, not easy questions, but really thoughtful questions. But when you do that consciously, then you're going to have your initiatives classified into groups with prioritization codes, right? And what we do is we have 2 simple questions, and they are related to the resources that we have to allocate to those initiatives, and the resources being in time of cost, on time, and the amount of capital human that we have to work on each initiative, and also to identify how big or small is the immediate payback that changing that initiative will generate to the company. And here, payback, we don't talk about only financial payback, but also about other intangibles like employee retention or enhancing the brand reputation. So basically, the combination of these 2 questions, if the effort is significant or insignificant, and if the immediate payback is big or small, will classify all our initiatives into 4 groups that are color-coded here: the do now, major projects, when you have time, and not to pursue. And we try to focus And the dashboard really prompts you to focus on the ones that really generate big impact immediately, right, for you. And there we have two groups. The ones that really we don't need to invest a lot of effort, that really the effort to put together that initiative is not big, it's insignificant. So those are the ones that we prioritize, right, that we do now. And the time frame, it will be different for each company. For some companies, they can do it in a month or in 3 months or 6 months. But the important thing to know is that those are the initiatives that are green, that are the first ones that we're going to tackle. Again, because they generate the most immediate payback and they don't require a lot of effort from us. And the effort will vary depending on a company. For instance, for the company that we're hypothetically working on, the policy of like really developing the policy of equal pay for work for women is something that is insignificant. So it will generate a big impact for the company because it will show authenticity for employees, for future hiring, for current employees, and even when starting to deploy other sustainability initiatives, then employees are going to feel more engaged because they feel like the company is really committed. So it's something that is not significant, but it's going to have a big impact, right? So it's something that we do immediately now. Now, those initiatives that generate a lot of impact, but their effort, they require a significant effort in terms of maybe financial resources or time or the people that needs to really work on those we consider major projects, but it's something that we really need to work on those too. So we also include them in the action plan. But we know that those are going to be actions that are going to demand us more time. And then the last two groups, the ones that really don't generate immediate payback, a big impact, that the impact is small, really, the ones that require a lot of effort, a significant effort, then we're going to leave them aside. They are going to be a red. We're not going to even pursue them now. And we're going to review them eventually in a year or two and reevaluate, reassess if in the new scenario, because we know the business world is an ever-changing scenario, if in the new scenario, then if we tackle that initiative, then the payback is big and maybe it needs to come up and be something that we need to do now. And if they don't have a big impact and they don't require a big effort as well to really put them in place, to implement it, then what we're going to do is we're going to do them when we have time. We're going to delegate those initiatives to interns when we hire in the summer or to employees that are really passionate about that cause and they really want to champion that initiative, or when the business has those periods of like slowing down, that we have time to clean the house, the same as we do in our house, that we clean our closet, we clean our company too. So the thing to know is that really the dashboard here, what does is by you plugging I or S in the column of, in the column of the effort, or B and S on the column of the payback, really will automatically show you what is the prioritization code, if you really need to focus on that or not, or leave it to the future. And then the last step is where we have our sustainability action plan, the product that we've been trying to work for. Yeah. So you want to go over that?
Yes, and the important thing about the prioritization is not something that is a mathematical process. It's something that exercise, the previous exercise of determining what effort and what payback do you get, is something that you can work for if you are a business owner yourself or with your management team. And then once you make that decision, you can plug it in, and our dashboard would automatically do the classification of quick wins, do now, major projects, and things that you can leave for later on. But once you have done all this, in summary, we have our identify who are we impacting with our business, all our main stakeholders. We already assessed our business against best practices with a set of questions that were curated for our particular industry and were for our particular organization. We answer those questions. We have a prioritization on where to focus now and what to do later. But then we need to put it into motion. So this dashboard already does that work for our clients as well. We try to make it as actionable and as simple as possible. So in this case, if we go back to our hypothetical client, we have the first question that they answer that is a work in progress. Does your company have a written policy offering equal pay for work for equal value for men and women? We know we will plug in this initiative. We know we're going to plug in first the green ones, the quick wins, the ones that we're going to do now. We're going to describe the initiative. We're going to describe which aspirational goal are we trying to achieve when we move forward with this initiative. In this case will be the aspirational goal, the big goal of promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion in our company. That definition will help us later on when we're reporting our impact, if we're doing quarterly, if we're doing annually. That wording will help us with our reporting and with our communication. Then we're going to set a deadline. We're going to set a target when we are going to implement this initiative. We're going to determine who will be the owner. In larger corporations, in this case, in these questions, could be the head of HR, the head of sustainability. If we are a smaller operation, could be Solvina, Soledad, but this helps to really assure accountability that this initiative will be implemented and will take place. And finally, we included a column where we indicate which reporting method are we going to do, how are we going to measure, how are we going to know that this has been successful or not. In this case, it could be that we are going to conduct an employee demographic radio. We're going to determine the equal pay gap radio that we had before when we started and that we had at the end of our target. And for each one of the initiatives, we're going to already have this plan that will help us to communicate, as I mentioned later on, what is going to be our impact and how are we doing in terms of the environment and in terms of the social aspects of our sustainability strategy. One bonus that we have incorporated as well, if we go back for a second to the dashboard, is that we pre-classified each one of the initiatives already is automatically classified by determining how is this initiative linked to the Sustainable Development Goals of the UN. I guess most of the audience here are familiar with what the Sustainable Development Goals are. For those who don't, this is the United Nations in 2015 set out a framework, set a direction for us to make this world a better place by 2030. With initiatives and goals, 17 goals to fight hunger, fight poverty, social inequality, and climate change. So these goals have been used by large corporations, many corporations already, as a way to measure their impact and to communicate their impact. So it's a common language that we can use to share our global commitments to these aspirational goals. And for example, in the first question that we have in our dashboard, this initiative will be related to, for example, one of the goals that is number 5, that is gender equality, for example, and with other goals of decent work and economic growth as well. So this is a really helpful tool because, as I mentioned, one important aspect about the sustainability strategy is that you measure how you're doing and that you communicate your efforts internally and externally as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So we're very proud. It took us very months to put together this dashboard. We're working right now with developers to put it in a more robust platform, but it's been working great so far. So we're arriving at the end of our webinar, of our session. we want to say thank you. We're very thankful that you took the time to stay with us for now almost 75 minutes. We have 10 more minutes. But before really closing and open up for questions, we have 3 messages. One is that really committing to doing business in a more sustainable way, in a more conscious way, is not just the new way of doing business. It's really an opportunity to reposition your business for success. It's really an opportunity to differentiate from your competition, to retain employees, to reach to a new audience, and to also feel proud about your business, to find meaning in your job, in our jobs. Now, there is no one way of doing this. We found that our methodology worked for us and it worked for our clients because it's simple, it's systematic, it's organized. We know each step that we need to follow, but find what works for you. And if you need help, we're here to help you. We can work with you, but don't get discouraged. Don't engage in green hashing. Think progress, not perfection. Share your enthusiasm, because together we really can build a better world. Now, we have another engaging opportunity. We have another upcoming workshop in a couple of weeks. Soledad, do you want to give a little bit more information on this upcoming workshop?
We talked a little bit about it today, that we really suggest and encourage each one of our clients to spend time in defining or redefining and articulating your organizational purpose, because we think it's the first step towards developing a successful sustainability strategy. So we put together, we've done many workshops around purpose. We put together this workshop that is very hands-on. There's a lot of exercises that you will do individually and with a group of companies as well. And hopefully you can come out with a more defined and articulated purpose statement that works for your unique business, that will give you direction towards developing a sustainability strategy in your company. So feel free to send us an email if you're interested in registering. It's 2 sessions, it's 1 hour each with some homework in the middle, and it's going to take place in May 26th, at the end of May, and also in June 2nd. You can register in our website at thinkingbeyondbusiness.com, and or you can send us an email and we can help you register as well.
Yes. So thank you again. I know we talk a lot. So now we're going to open the virtual floor for questions. I don't know if you've been plugging on your questions, Jen.
So far, there's only one question, and I encourage you, if you do have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. The main question is, where can I sign up? Asks Sarah.
What? Sorry?
Where can she sign up for the upcoming workshop or for your services?
Okay, so you can send us an email to one of these addresses, or you can go to our website, thinkingbeyondbusiness.com. On the workshops page, you can register for the upcoming workshop. It's again, as Soledad said, it's 2 sessions, it's 1 hour each, with a lot of exercises, and you will be interacting with other businesses also working on their purpose. So it's a great opportunity to really get inspired by others and receive feedback on your business purpose.
Sarah asks, with your clients, how have you been able to communicate the importance of implementing and working towards sustainability? Is financial/economic incentive the only way to incentivize them? What are some effective communication skills when talking to your clients?
Well, the financial and economic drive, it's always the main one, but it's not the only one, luckily. And because there's a growing number of really consumers and individuals who are talking a lot about sustainability, we found that it's becoming more and more common for clients to really understand that this is the new way of doing businesses, and to understand the advantages that not just the financials are the main driver, but that everything else really ultimately contributes to really increase profitability, even the employee retention and like the new environmental practices. And what was the second part of the question? Sorry.
What are some effective communication skills when talking to your clients?
We show them the business case, we show them statistics, we show them, I think at the beginning of the presentation, Sole, that we didn't share all the statistics because there are so many that is really overwhelming. But that is the good news, really, that there's a lot of information, there's a lot of books, there's a lot of articles, really. So we maintain a library resources where by industry. So when we engage with a new client, we're like, okay, so this is what's happening in our industry, and these are the leaders in your industry, what they are doing, and that is the way to show them what is the new transition in that business. So we always try to showcase leaders in each industry, show them the business case with statistics, basically that.
Yes, and we try to do that as much as we can, be part of organizations, chambers of commerce, and really give free webinars with educational tools, basically on the importance of doing business with a sustainability light. And as Silvina mentioned, there's so much data of very reputable organizations that have been studying the new generation, especially millennials and Generation Z, that demonstrate the advantages and benefits of really incorporating this within the strategy, and that the world is shifting, and it's a new way of doing business. The trend is going into this direction. The society in general, employees, customers are really demanding us as business to act in a more accountable way and more responsible and conscious way. And a lot of businesses, we believe that that don't jump into this trend, don't identify, will struggle to stay more relevant in the future. So we really want our clients and our small and medium businesses in our community to grow, thrive, become resilient, and that is why we're really ambassadors of this strategy, and that is strongly correlated with profitability. But then again, there are other clients that they're already doing amazing things. They are sustainability, I think, social enterprises themselves, and we help them to find a way to communicate really what they're doing in a good way with a common language. The Sustainable Development Goals is a very good tool to really measure your impact. So we help them to first of all measure how you're doing, and then we help them to communicate it, to organize it in a way that people will understand it internally, your employees, your team, and also externally.
Amazing. Truly, this is an exciting moment for, I think, a lot of people who are becoming aware of the incredible opportunity that exists and the resources that you provide. So want to thank you both once again and wish everybody a great rest of your day.